Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach is one of the most ambitious FNAF games ever made, and today I'm going to be giving you a comprehensive review on the game. This review is going to be broken into 8 parts: marketing, graphics/animations, level design, mechanics, difficulty, story, expectation versus reality, and then my closing thoughts. Let's get started. First of all, no hate to Steelwool Studios at all. I mean, this is not a hate-filled video, but I just had so much fun playing the game, and I'm very thankful for everything they've done for us in this community. I've just been getting so many comments asking for a comprehensive review on this game, and I want to give that to you. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into the first category, which is marketing. The first piece of marketing we got for this game was in August of 2019 on the Five Nights at Freddy's anniversary. It was just a picture of the 4 main animatronics with 2020 at the bottom. As we know, this game did not come out in 2020. As time went on, more teasers for Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach popped up on scottgames.com in the form of 2D drawn images. Then eventually we got our first teaser trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach on September 16th, 2020 at the PlayStation State of Play event. People loved this teaser trailer. People couldn't even believe that it was a Five Nights at Freddy's trailer. The graphics looked amazing, the voice acting was amazing, and people were officially super excited for this game. During this time, leaks were a major problem. We saw a bunch of leaks come out from Funko, some figures, a calendar that was leaked, and all of the new models for the new animatronics were leaked before they could be officially announced and shown by the game studio or by Scott Cawthon. This left a lot of fans confused at what was really happening behind the scenes with this game. After that first teaser trailer at the PlayStation State of Play, every single PlayStation State of Play left FNAF fans curious if we were going to get a new teaser, and Steelwool almost never communicated when a new teaser was going to happen. Although frustrating at the time, I think this was a good move from Steelwool Studios because they don't really owe us anything. It was our own expectations that led us to our own disappointment. The marketing for the second half of 2021 for this game was amazing. I think the Freddy and Friends episodes were a great idea, and it was a great way to get the fans hyped up for the new game. Releasing new images and little scenes of the new things that we're going to be seeing in Security Breach was such a cool way to introduce all that stuff to us. Next up is the graphics and animations. So the graphics and animations for this game, in my opinion, were amazing, and I think it was one of the highlights of this game. You can tell how much they improved upon the graphics and the animations compared to early trailers for the game. I also loved every single one of the cutscenes in this game. I think they were really well done, although I think it would have been cool to see every single one of the endings animated instead of just comics for some of the endings. Although the art in the comics was really cool and they did a really good job, I just think it would have been cool to have every single one of the endings animated, but they are a small studio, they are limited to a certain budget, so I get it. It was just interesting to see what they animated and what endings they animated, because some players thought the comic endings were a little bit underwhelming, and I can kind of see why. A normal player of this game and someone who's playing this game potentially for the very first time would probably choose to leave the Pizzaplex, and they would only experience the comic ending, and that might feel a little underwhelming after working so hard to get there, and I completely understand that. Some of the standouts for me as far as graphics and animations is the DJ Music Man section. I loved that section. The way DJ Music Man crawls on the wall and crawls into the tunnels is just so cool. I also love the stage performance, like the big animated versions of the characters performing in slow motion on the stage once we put the disc inside the DJ area, and the animation and design of the Sun and Moon animatronics. I loved those characters. Probably one of my favorite characters in the whole game. Kellen Goff did an amazing job with their voices. Next up is level design. Security Breach is a huge game in more ways than one, but a big game doesn't always mean a better game. I think the game's levels and areas were so big that sometimes it was hard to understand where you were supposed to go next. That, combined with some vague mission instructions on your Fazwatch, left a lot of people, even some very skilled Let's Players, confused on what they were supposed to do next. One thing I loved about the levels is that they looked beautiful. The graphics and designs of the areas are one of the strongest parts of Security Breach. One thing I will say is that there are way too many staff bots. Sometimes they jump scare you without even getting close to you. Like, you're just running away from one and it's like 5 miles behind you, and then boom, you're jump scared by it. And it's just one of the bugs in the game, I think, but that's one thing I found kind of annoying. There would be like one staff bot per 10-foot square of ground in the Pizzaplex. Like, they have cameras for a reason, right? If they have all of these cameras, I don't know why they'd need all these staff bots roaming around the ground, like, physically. I think it was a way to make sure that you were on edge throughout your experience walking through the mall, but it kind of had the opposite effect for me. With the staff bots jump scaring you every 2 seconds, it kind of numbed me to all of the other jump scares in the game. Like, Chica jump scaring me wasn't that big of a deal because I was already jump scared 10 times by the staff bots in order to get that jump scare. Last thing about the level design, once again, my favorite level was the DJ Music Man level. I loved the atmosphere and the music, and the bathroom scene where his hand is going through the door and trying to reach for you. That was just so cool. Definitely the highlight of the game for me. Next up is mechanics. In Security Breach, you can run, jump, crouch, or even hide inside Freddy to escape the other animatronics out to get you. How fast Freddy's battery dies is kind of really annoying, but for some reason it wasn't a problem for me. His quickly dying battery kind of motivates the player not to use him much at all. Actually, you can do and accomplish most things in this game without using Freddy. The only time you really need to use Freddy is when the game kind of forces you to use him in order to move the story along. I loved the Phaz Cam and the Phaser Blaster. It really makes the experience playing the game more enjoyable, knowing that you don't have to get jump scared every 2 seconds by a staff bot. You can just shoot them in the face or flash them with the camera. Next up is difficulty. This is not a difficult game once you get the hang of it, but the moments where I tended to get stuck were the moments where the game either completely glitched out or it was just so hard that I literally had no idea what I was doing, aka the mazer size level. I don't think I've ever been more confused playing a video game than I was trying to get a proper path through the mazer size area. The controls were just so vague and I had no idea what I was doing, and you could see that with other Let's Players that are a lot better at video games than I am. Luckily, I was playing live and I had a chat with me to tell me exactly what to do to get through the level, but if they weren't there, I probably would have just given up, honestly. I think the difficulty is another place where you could feel the lack of direction in the game the most. The game isn't technically difficult, but for some reason, finding the exit to a laundry room took me 20 minutes. Next up is the story. The game starts with Freddy's perspective, glitching out during a performance and then waking up for some reason with Gregory inside his stomach hatch. What made FNAF so popular was, yes, the Let's Players' reactions to the jump scares, but also most importantly, the lore. The reason FNAF lore is so interesting yet hard to follow is because in all of the FNAF games, the why and the how of things is always left out. We only really see ending results of situations that happened and not why or how they happened. Infinite questions lead to infinite possibilities, thus is the FNAF wormhole. And Security Breach seems to follow the same philosophy. They show us just enough to understand the basics of what's going on while leaving out key details that would lead us to a more clear conclusion. We know that we are playing as a child who is stuck in the mall and can't escape until 6 a.m., but we don't know how we got there, why our family isn't looking for us, why we're scared of Vanessa, how we managed to jump inside Freddy without anyone noticing, etc. We also know that the rest of the animatronics are trying to capture us because Vanessa told them to, but why are they so aggressive, and why is there someone dressed in a white bunny suit chasing us as well? There are so many variables that it's almost impossible to come to a solid conclusion. But that's what makes FNAF so popular and honestly why I love it so much. I've spent days researching the FNAF lore and analyzing Security Breach for a theory video I'm working on, and I found myself getting so close to maybe figuring something out, but running into one thing that invalidates it. Or I just realized that I fell so far into my own headcanon due to the lack of information that I can't even call my theory a Security Breach theory anymore. I think the way the basic story was laid out services to the average or even new FNAF fan. But if you're an average or new FNAF fan and you decide to dive deeper and get some of the secret endings, someone who's new to the franchise might be left confused at what they find. And that might lead to an unsatisfying conclusion for a new FNAF fan and might turn them off to the series. Maybe Security Breach was just a little too vague with the story, but I think being more vague is just a smarter business decision. It's what keeps people coming back, because if we could solve this game in a day, people would probably lose interest very quickly instead of sweating waiting for MatPat to release his next theory to understand what the heck just happened. Next up is expectations versus reality. As good as the trailers for Security Breach were, I think they were almost too good. People's expectations were through the roof for this game because it was such a long time coming and Steelwool was teeing it up to be one of the biggest FNAF games ever. In my opinion, it delivered. I made sure to manage my expectations for this game because I always kept in the back of my mind that Steelwool is a small studio, and expecting a functioning version of Cyberpunk 2077 in the FNAF universe was just not realistic. Besides all of the major bugs that Steelwool hopefully and probably will fix, I really had fun playing this game. Even after getting all the endings, I find myself wanting to jump back into the game every single day. It is unfortunate that most of the playthroughs for this game will always have those bugs in it, but it's kind of poetic. This next phase of FNAF already has one glitch, why not add a few more? I'm excited to see where FNAF goes in the future, and congratulations to Steelwool Studios for making a fun, adventurous, and admiringly ambitious FNAF game.